Welcome to the recording for the webinar data.census.gov News and Updates, January 2024. My name is Tyson Weister, and I work on the communications team for the data.census.gov website in the U.S. Census Bureau's Center for Enterprise Dissemination. What we have planned today is to show you the latest system enhancements that we've made from September through January. We're going to walk through each of those updates one by one, showing them on screen. And then we're going to follow that up by also going into the live website to show a live demonstration of some of the most significant updates to further your understanding. Before we dive into what those system enhancements are, we wanted to take a moment to thank all of our data users who have sent us feedback. You can email us by sending your message to census.data@census.gov, and we develop data.census.gov in an agile development process. This means that we are continuously looking, actively seeking, and analyzing feedback that comes in order to inform product development and make the site work better for you. So specifically, we're collecting, prioritizing, developing solutions based on the feedback we receive. We test those solutions internally and then release them to the public every few weeks. Based on the feedback that we've received, we're going to be talking today about those updates from September through January. The updates include improved maps, a new application to access population pyramids through the PopStory App, new table controls, improved URLs, updated design features, a dedicated profiles tab, redesigned filter side panel, and as always, technical updates and fixes to defects. Starting with improved maps, one of the things I'm most excited about from this set of updates is the new print button. When you visit a map, you will see a print button at the top of your ribbon, and if you're looking at the screenshot here, you may need to click the More Tools button in order to access the print button. Once you click the print, it is going to download a PDF that is optimized for printing, so you can either consume the PDF as is or print in order to get that printout. The PDF will have the first page of a map of your geographic area. It will have all of the necessary labels. In this example, we're showing the median income for counties in Northwest Georgia. The map will also include the legend and the data source. So you'll have all that information fully optimized for printing in the first page. The additional pages of the PDF will have any map notes and corresponding data notes from the data table that you made a map of. Other updates to our map, we also added the ability to collapse or move the legend. So you'll see new controls in the upper right-hand side, chevrons and the grid area with dots. Those are the options that are allowing you to either move the legend on screen or collapse and expand it. We also have new selection tools. So we received a lot of comments from our users about wanting additional ways to access geographies in bulk through a map. Based on this feedback, we added two new selection tools. One is the option to draw a perfect circle, as you see on the left-hand side of the screen through the circle selection tool. Any geographies that are fully or partially within the circle you drew will be added to your selections. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, we also added a lasso selection tool. So this is very exciting. It allows you to draw a custom shape, so it gives you more precision to draw on the map and select the exact geographies that you want. We are going to be showing these map updates in the live demonstration, so you'll be able to see them in action and in more detail. Another major update that we put forth in September is launching the new PopStory app, and we've made several improvements to the application since then. This is a dedicated app accessible through the URL data.census.gov/app/population_. pyramids, you do need to visit that direct URL in order to access the PopStory app. And it allows you to learn about population pyramids, how to read them, examples for different types of communities, and how you can gain insight at a glance by looking at those population pyramids in order to get meaningful information. And at the end is the most exciting part, an interactive widget that allows you to explore the population pyramid for your community. This includes your state, county, city, town, and some other selectable areas that you can search. Once you get that customized population pyramid for your specific community of interest, you'll also see options at the bottom of the widget that allow you to share those results on social media or email. We will also be taking a look at this in the live demonstration. Wanted to show you some other updates that we've been working on first. There are a few updates related to new table controls. One is that we had a lot of feedback from users asking how to cite the information that they found on our website. We added a dedicated Cite button that you'll see at the top of your table, or you may need to click the More Tools button in order to see the Cite button. Once you click Cite, it will give you a pop-up window. That window will have citation provided in major formats that you can copy from MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, BibTeX, and a download RefMan file as well. Other updates to our table controls is that we added some new features to the table notes. So specifically, when you click the Notes button at the top of the table, you'll now see a search bar at the top. This allows you to type in a keyword in order to jump to a particular part of the notes that you'd like to view. You can also click the new print icon that's provided in the ribbon in order to print the table notes in one nice clean view. In addition to this, we completed some technical work behind the scenes that is going to make the table notes even more helpful for you in future releases. We have added the ability for there to be different sections of the table notes. So what this means is that as new data are released for certain data sets in the future, you may start to see on the left-hand side after you click the Notes button, different clickable links in order to get to the different sections of the table with ease. Also, we added improved URLs. For table URLs, you'll now notice that they follow the pathway data.census.gov/table/ and then it will have the TID. That's the fully qualified table ID. It includes the data set, in this example, the American Community Survey data profiles 1 year, the vintage 2022, and the table ID DP05. Similarly, we also updated the URL structure for maps. So when you visit a data.census.gov URL, for a map, it will begin with map/GeoID/dataset/table ID/cell ID. The GeoID are the characters that represent the geographies that you have selected and that are shown on your map. The data set, in this case, it's showing, again, the American Community Survey data profiles 1 year from the 2022 vintage, the table ID being DP05, and then the cell ID, that is the API variable name that corresponds with the specific variable that you're showing on your map. So in this case, it's DP05_0004E. It's the fourth estimate from that data table. You do not need to memorize these changes or the new structure. I'm just providing them to you for your own awareness. Do know that any previously saved URLs with the old naming convention that you may have will continue to function. So you'll be able to click them, access the same data that you were able to in the past, and the URL will actually automatically redirect according to the new naming convention. The reason that we applied these updates is just to make it easier for external search engines to be able to access and understand the content on data.census.gov so that it can link to it more easily. If you'd like more details about all of the components of a URL, We did include these updates in the FAQ documentation, how do I save my results or search, so you're welcome to visit that for the most up-to-date information. Moving on to some other system enhancements, we had a variety of design and aesthetic improvements. One of those is new filter hover effects that we added. When you click a filter in the filter panel and put your cursor over that filter, you'll notice a pop-up window will now appear. So in this example, in the screenshot, you can see I've selected the filter and hovered over it, and it gives the pop-up window showing the complete label for the Washington, Arlington, Alexandria metro area. Other design updates within the filter panels, we updated the search bars throughout the entire filter panel to provide a consistent look and feel. This is done to give you a standard experience as you work through those search bars. They're also mirrored to reflect similarly to how the single search bar at the top of the screen looks. Another update of note that we wanted to mention in the geography profiles, if you click the share profile button at the very top, that will give you a link to share the profile. In the past, there was an embed information that you could copy, but we didn't actually intend to put that information out and never built the functionality for that embed to work for an entire profile. So all this to say, we removed that option from your view so you won't get confused by it. However, if you are interested in embedding content from our website to yours, we do continue to have the embed for individual visualizations within a profile, such as an individual population pyramid or bar chart. Another update of note is that we have improved the placement of Show Hide Geographic Components buttons. As you work your way through the filter panel, you'll now see them in the appropriate section of the filter panel for the updated organization and way of defining these geographies, which is in alignment with the updates from the 2020 census geography definitions. Geographic components are popular for things like the urban or rural portions of a state, the portion of a state that's within a metropolitan area versus not within a metropolitan area. Just in case you're curious about what geographic components are, most data users access data for the full geography without regard to geographic components, but we did want to make sure to mention this in case you are using geographic components. You may see a slightly different placement of where you see those show hide buttons in the filter panel. Other design update is improved output for the download. So prior to September, if you were downloading a table from the American Community Survey, you would see what we're showing on screen here. That includes what we call annotation columns. So these are columns that were specifically designed to show you special characters. With that said, though, notice that the special characters, when they apply, they are already included in the corresponding estimate or margin of error column. So these alternating annotation columns were cluttering up your view without providing you any additional useful information. We removed them to make the download output easier for you to work with. And then I did give a preview, if you've been following this webinar series, of some updates that were at the time expected to be pushed live soon and were on the Canary site. We did follow through and release those updates, so we did want to review them again now that they have actually gone live. One of those updates is the dedicated profiles tab. As you work your way across data.census.gov, you'll notice that there is profiles tab at all times. This makes it easier for you to find the geography or industry profiles that you've been accessing all along. It also includes suggested options rather than just our one best guess. So in this screenshot, we're showing I typed in a search for Maryland. It provides you, when you click on the Profiles tab, the option to access the profile for Maryland, but also below, you'll notice that there are 27 total profiles that we recommend. Again, the top one being Maryland, but also pointing out that you may want to check out the profiles for the smaller geographies within Maryland, such as the counties. Another major update that went live in early September is the redesigned filter panel. There were two main components of this redesign. One is that we show you the filter subcategories by default. So rather than just seeing geography, you see some of those most common types of geographies that you can click into. This makes it easier for you to browse what's available for search filter selections. It also reduces the number of clicks that you need to make in order to make a final selection. The other major update with this redesign is that there are no longer folder icons in the filter panel. You'll instead see chevrons. So as you're working your way through the filter panel, if you click on a word or phrase with a chevron, that means you're going to get more detailed options to choose from. If you click a checkbox, you're still going to be selecting a final search selection just as you did previously. Some more minor updates with this redesign. We did improve the width, design, and hover effects for the filter and results button that you see in the upper left. We also did some programming to make sure that those selections are maintained. So for instance, if you choose to click the filter or result button to either expand or collapse the appropriate panel, that selection will persist or be maintained as you're working throughout the site. And as a note, we did a number of technical updates on the back end throughout this period of time from September to January. One is by implementing a neural network to recognize your search criteria. This is just an enhancement to help us make better sense of the text that you type into the single search bar. It also will help us provide more relevant results to you. Another update being the sitemap. We made improvements in order to, again, help external search engines better link to the content on our site. We also added search functionality for you to search for world geographies, such as Japan, in support of finding data from international data sets. And then we also did some back-end work that will help improve our internal processes and analytics. And as always, we fix a number of defects with each release. Throughout this period of time, we fixed 101 defects. I included just a few of the highlights here on the screen, but do invite you, if you want to take a deeper dive into these defects and the updates that we push live, you can visit the Developmental Update page at the bottom of the screen. That will take you to the detailed release notes that go through this information as well. So with that background, we're excited now to transition into the live demonstration to show you these improvements on the live site. Just to further your understanding, one of the things we wanted to start with are the improved maps that we released. And for this example, I'm going to work through accessing median household income and mapping it out for all counties in Northwest Georgia. So here on the live site on data.census.gov, I'll type income into the single search bar and press enter. The first step is always to run a search, and then you'll want to click into maps, that tab at the top, if you'd like to use the selection map. I want to show you the updated circle and lasso selection tool, so I'll go ahead and click maps. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll want to click into the layer button at the top. The layer is the primary geographic level for your map. That means it's the geographic level that you're either going to be making selections from or seeing data on. So right now we're seeing state boundaries. We want to change it to county, so I'll click layer. You'll be able to choose, just as before, the variety of options. The one I want for this demonstration is county. And then we see the county boundaries on the map. Here I will start to zoom in to my desired area in Georgia. And the new selection tools that are available, you'll notice the select button at the top of your map. Once you click into that button, I'm going to show you first the circle selection tool. Once you click Circle Selection Tool, you'll notice that your cursor changes to a plus sign. This means that you can click, hold, and drag to create a shape. Now, once I release this, it is going to add to my selection any geographies that are fully or partially within this circle I drew. We know they've been added to my selection because I see 13 geographies selected. You can see them in blue on the map. They also appear in your filters in the upper left. So clearing this out, I'd also like to show you the lasso selection tool. So I'm going to start fresh by clearing these geographies. If you instead choose the lasso selection tool, you'll similarly get that plus icon. And that will allow you to create a custom shape. So as I draw this shape, it just gives me more precision to select the area that I'm specifically interested in without inadvertently clicking into other areas. Any geographies that are fully or partially within the shape I drew, when I release that click, they'll be added to my selection. In this case, I've selected 19 different counties. So moving on, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with creating a map of median income. No updates for this release as far as how that process goes. So I'm going to walk through that step by clicking on the left-hand side S1901 in order to click into one of the income tables. And then at the top drop-down menu, you can choose the variable by clicking that variable drop-down. And this particular option does have a label for median income. In order to make that clickable, I need to switch from percent to number and then click median. Now, if you're interested in learning more about mapping, we do have mapping workshops and webinars. Again, we're focusing primarily on showing you the latest updates from the release. This now is showing you of the map median income across all counties in Northwest Georgia that I selected with the lasso tool. You'll notice here that counties with darker shades of blue have higher median income compared to the counties in lighter shades of blue. Another new update with this release, you can collapse that legend if you'd like to remove it from your view entirely. You can also adjust where the legend appears on your screen, allowing you more customization and control. And then the last thing I wanted to show here is that new print to PDF functionality. On the top hand ribbon, you'll click More Tools and then click Print. This is going to start the process to download a PDF. So the loading indicator is just telling you that the site is working through that process. Once it has completed, depending on which browser you're using, you'll just follow the normal steps to access downloaded files. In my case, I'm using Google Chrome, so I'll be looking in the upper right for that icon. And we'll just give this one more moment to finish up. We can see that has completed, and I'll click the PDF to open up that downloaded file. And here we get the very first page is the printout that we have optimized for you. It has the label median income for households, the map, and by the way, this map is centered as it was on your screen. So if you'd like to have this zoomed in more or less, if you'd like to adjust the placement, you can drag the area prior to clicking the print button. You'll also notice the map has the legend here, as well as the data source showing the S1901 is the table that these income data are sourced from, as well as the 2022 ACS 5-year estimate subject tables. So that first page is what is most used from people looking for this particular feature. However, if you do scroll throughout, you'll see notes included for your reference below. Now that we've covered those map updates, I did want to move on and show you the new PopStory app. Here we're going to take a tour of the app, and I'm going to show you a population pyramid for Seattle once we get to the interactive widget at the end. As a reminder, you do need to visit the specific URL shown here on screen in order to get to the PopStory app. In the future, we're working towards adding integrations and clickable links within the data.census.gov site itself. But for now, you'll go to data.census.gov/app/population_pyramids and press enter. We recently optimized this in portrait layout. That means it's going to work very well on your mobile device or tablet. If you're accessing from a desktop, you'll be able to use it with ease as well. You'll just notice there's some space on the side and additional controls for you to scroll through the app. Your objective in visiting this app is to scroll through it using your keyboard, mouse, touchscreen, or these controls, and it presents you information about population pyramids. Starting with the basics, you'll learn first off how looking at the shape of a community's profile can show you what makes that area special. We show that a hypothetical example of what a population pyramid could look like, as well as letting you know we're sourcing these data from the 2022 ACS 5-year estimate subject tables. Then lets readers know the male is shown on the left-hand side of the pyramid, the female population is shown on the right. And then within that, you'll notice that the youngest population groups are at the bottom, starting with the under 5. The oldest population groups at the top for 85 and over. Once you know how to read it, we present you the actual population pyramid for the United States. So with that basic information, we go to different types of communities, and this really tells the story of how you can take one quick glance at these population pyramids and make inferences based on that community in seconds. First, starting with communities that have families with children. One example coming from Todd County, South Dakota, we can see that these population pyramids are heavy at the bottom, right? So they have a larger proportion of their population in those younger age groups, meaning there's lots of families with children living there. Same for Laredo, Texas, another example of a community that has lots of families with young children. Within each of these, you'll also notice some fun statistics. In this example, we're just showing that for Laredo, Texas, they are 4 times more likely to have grandparents who are living with their grandchildren and responsible for their care as compared to the nation as a whole. So just a fun fact related to the community, not directly related to the information shown in the pyramid, but just help you making more sense. And then it cycles through other types of communities. I'll go through these a little bit more quickly. College towns, you can see very high proportion in the college age population. So in this population pyramid, we see huge population in 20 to 24 in some of the neighboring categories. In Columbia, Missouri, this happens to be where the University of Missouri is located. Similarly, Ithaca, New York, you can take a look at this and see instantly it's a college town. Another example, military bases. For Onslow County, North Carolina, notice that this area happens to be home to one of the military installations. You can look at the population pyramid and see very quickly that a large portion of its population would be in the military age range. And we see high numbers both with male and female, especially in the 20 to 24 category. Another example being Christian County, home to Fort Campbell. Retirement communities, they're heavy at the top, so we see large portions of the population pyramid indicated at the top and less population included towards the bottom. The Villages, Florida being one example, Sun City, Arizona being another. And then now that we've reached the end, it provides you that interactive widget that we told you about. There is a single search bar that allows you to type in your community. Again, you can type in your state, county, city, town, and some other selected types of geographic areas. I'm going to type in Seattle, WA, and press enter. Once I press enter, it's going to update the population pyramid shown from the United States to the area that I selected. So we can see the data now is being shown for Seattle. Notice in this example, we're seeing a high proportion of working age population. So most likely a lot of professionals in their early to mid careers. This is in line with population pyramids that you may see for many other types of cities across the country, but notice how we can get that information just at a glance. If we were reading this data in a table, it would take us much longer to reach this type of analysis and conclusion. At the bottom are those clickable icons for you to share the results of this pyramid on social media and email. One other feature is the ability to drill into more detailed information. So before I do that, just want to reiterate how this population pyramid application stands on its own. So it focuses exclusively on population pyramids, telling you how to read them, giving you examples, allowing you to access them right here within the app. We received all kinds of feedback from a variety of users wanting simple ways to access the data. So high school teachers, for example, expressed wide interest in wanting to get population pyramid data, and this is catering specifically to people that would want to focus on population pyramids. But if you'd like to drill into the more detailed information that we have, you can click that arrow next to your city, and this will actually connect you into the larger data.census.gov website. In this case, it is taking us to the geography profile for Seattle. It is pulling in real time the data and feeding it on your screen, and it is going to cover a lot more than just population totals. It's looking to pull in information on median income, employment, educational attainment, a wide variety of other data that the Census Bureau has available. And as this is working, I'm going to let this sit here. As we move on to our next example, we're going to be pulling up this profile anyways. So we'll let that load in the background before we dive into it a little more fully. What I did want to show you was the new profiles tab that we also released for the geography profile and industry profiles. So for this example, we're going to start on the data.census.gov website, search for Seattle, and access the profile. So on data.census.gov, we'll type in Seattle, comma, Washington, and press enter. And here on the screen, you'll see the different tabs at the top. And there is that new dedicated profiles tab. So this is what we're going to highlight here for you by clicking on profiles. So now that that profile page has loaded, we wanted to show you here that it is pulling for Seattle, Washington, the top recommended profile at the top of your screen. You'll also see there are 16 related profiles that we list in the profiles section below, Seattle at the top, and then profiles for the different zip code tabulation areas in fully or partially within Seattle. So now that this population profile has loaded, I'm going to click back over to Seattle. You can see again some of that data I was referencing with income, bachelor's degree or higher, employment rate. I also wanted to point out when you scroll down here, there are over 40 different sections of what I'm showing you on screen where you'll get a high level statistic and then some sort of visualization. I wanted to note this if you wanted to access the source numbers and detailed information for that population pyramid we saw on the PopStory app. It is here for you in the geography profile with one click. And then again, the more detailed information across the variety of topics. And moving on here to our last example, we wanted to showcase the redesigned filter side panel and show you some of those new table controls, such as the new citation button. For this example, I'm going to pull up health insurance data for Pierce County, Washington. On the live site, we'll start fresh from the landing page, and I'll click Advanced Search to take me to that filter panel. Now, With the filter panel redesign, if you had accessed the filter panels prior to September, you would have seen something that looks very similar to what I'm showing now. So just the primary categories, you would have had to click into those in order to see the subcategories. We now show you that information by default and include it on the left-hand side. This makes it very easy for you to browse what's available and reduces the number of clicks in order to make a selection. So for my example, I wanted Pierce County, Washington on the left-hand side. I'll click County and then follow the prompts, choose Washington. Then choose the checkbox for Pierce County. Notice as I was working through that process, any options with chevrons, when I made a click of a word or phrase with a chevron, I got more detailed search criteria to choose from. That checkbox was my final selection. That is added in the upper left. Then on the left-hand side, we'll choose the topic for health insurance. I can see the topic's heading, a subcategory for health, and then a final checkbox for health insurance. So that is how you make the most of the redesigned filter side panel. Definitely think it has some helpful improvements to make that process easy for you. Just as before, once you're ready to run your search criteria, you can click that search button in the lower right. And then we're going to click Tables, that tab at the top. We're going to take a brief look at the first table, S2701, Selected Characteristics of Health Insurance Coverage in the United States. This is telling us the total population in Pierce County, the total number of people with health insurance, the corresponding percent with health insurance, total number uninsured, and the corresponding percent uninsured. So once you've gone through the steps to find data that you're interested in, you may be interested in sourcing that information. When you click the More Tools button here, you'll see a cite option, and that's what's going to give you that pop-up window for you to choose your citation in a variety of formats. You can click the copy button and then paste it with all the work being done for you. Also wanted to note here, when you click the Notes button, you have that new search bar at the top in order to search the text of the notes. For instance, if you type in symbol, it will take you to any words or phrases that match. Here we can see this is the section that tells you any special characters you may see in your table and what those mean. Also, if you click the print button, it gives you a print-friendly option for your table notes all on one page here. So we hope you enjoyed those improvements that we've made to the data.census.gov website. As we're working to continuously roll out more enhancements in the near future, we're working towards updating the landing page, continuing to improve our search functionality, and then continue to incorporate other user feedback we receive. If you haven't wrote to us before, you can shoot us an email at census.data@census.gov. We invite all users to regularly submit their feedback to us. So please let us know your suggestions on how we can make the site work better by sending us an email. If you have data questions as you're using the site, we'll answer them here as well. As we push updates to data.census.gov, you can stay informed by subscribing to our email newsletter. Simply visit the QR code or link shown on screen. Choose data.census.gov updates, and this will make sure that those program communications are delivered to you. Our monthly newsletter will tell you about the latest system enhancements, educational opportunities, and data releases to help you make the most of data.census.gov. And what we focused on today was an overview of the latest enhancements to the site. If you'd like some hands-on practice on how to use the site, we do have online workshops that are offered to you for free. These are offered every month, and they're anywhere from 2 to 3 hours in length. We offer them on 5 different topics. There's basic, advanced, and mapping on data.census.gov, a option to use the microdata access tool to create custom tables, and another workshop on the basics of using the Census Application Programming Interface, or API. These workshops are designed for user participation. You will have individual exercises that you'll be able to work on independently, come together as a group, and work through those answers to make sure you get hands-on practice to help you make the most. Other resources, if you visit the resources page shown in the upper left or simply click the help button under the single search bar for data.census.gov, it will take you to our dedicated resources page. This includes a whole suite of educational materials in a variety of formats to help you leverage the data.census.gov website. You'll see short videos, full-length recorded webinars, release notes, PDFs with step-by-step instructions, and answers to your FAQs. And if you have any training requests, you can shoot us an email for sed.sedsci.outreach@census.gov. We are the centralized training area for data.census.gov and the application programming interface. So typically we provide trainings to national organizations. You also have local data dissemination specialists that are available to you. They are accessible by contacting census.askdata@census.gov or 1-844-ASK-DATA. They are available to take training requests as well, and they're focused on any data topic that you may have at the Census Bureau without being confined to any particular topic, tool. And then if you'd like to take out advantage of their educational materials, you can visit census.gov/academy in order to access the centralized training hub. If you have any questions following this webinar, we invite you to connect with us. Please contact, if you're a member of the media, our Public Information Office at pio@census.gov. If you're not a member of the media and part of the public, you can contact the Center for Enterprise Dissemination. Again, your data questions and website feedback, you can send that to census.data@census.gov. Training requests, please send those to sed.sedsci.outreach@census.gov. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this recording. We hope to engage with you again soon.